Welcome to Around the Board, a show where four board game enthusiasts discuss board game topics and news. Today's show is all about what we're looking forward to at Gen Con. That's right, the industry's biggest event in the United States. Each of us has made our own top 5 list. Randy, our producer, took those 20 games and mixed in 5 of his own. Yeah, I'm glad you get to be part of the show too, Randy. And jumbled them up all together. Then we all took our guesses as to what the others picked. So now we get to see if we know each other better than we know our wives, I guess. Here are your hosts, Daniel Connors, John Theismann, Chris Thomason, and yours truly, Andy Barnett. Welcome as we go around the board.
There we go. Very nice. How are you guys doing? Who's ready for Gen Con, baby?
Yeah. I can't wait.
It is con season.
Too long.
Just a quick reminder before we get going here, though, that 3 of us will be at Gen Con, and you need to find us. We got a super secret giveaway only for people that find us at Gen Con, or only for people we find at Gen Con. Maybe we'll find you, but hopefully you'll find us.
And Fountain City Con in Gardner, Kansas.
There is that as well. That is true.
You're one of the 12 people there.
Yes.
Oh, no, don't say that.
No.
We love our friends at Fountain City Con. They're very nice people. They're very good people, actually.
It actually is a pretty good show.
It is a great con. It's just not as board game focused as Gen Con.
Well, that's true.
Right.
Yes.
There's a lot of people there, just not as many board games.
Yeah.
But we're changing
there's
that.
12 board gamers there.
Daniel is what you would call our local evangelist there. He's sowing the seeds. He's planting the seeds so that we can sow them later. And
he's doing the board game outreach.
That's right.
There you go.
He's our local evangelist.
But anyway, what are we doing today? Did we all put together, in case you don't know, we all put together our top 5 lists of games that we're excited to see at Gen Con. And I think we're going to go around and spitball a little bit about how we did our lists, because there's how many games is there? 370 or something like that on the list?
Yeah, I think I counted 374.
And that's just the ones on the list, obviously.
On the list.
There's going to be other games there, but that's the ones that are like making their debut-ish at Gen Con. And so how did you guys go about this? Because I hit the list early when there was only like 200 on there. And so then I had to keep changing it a little bit as things would pop up, or I like heard of a game and I'm like, wait, is that on? Now it's on the list. It wasn't on the list before. So before
we go any further, I want it to be known on the record that I contested the idea that we call it our top 5. And here's why. Because I'm an analysis something
like that.
I am AP prone.
I get
AP prone, and therefore, looking at 374 games and trying to pick my top 5, that would take like weeks, guys. Weeks. There is no way I could do that justice. So I had to just kind of pick games that looked interesting, and I grabbed 5 of them. Now, I did look at as many as I could, and I tried to go through them, and I eliminated some based on some criteria. I'm not going to give away what that is right now because we're going to do a little contest as we go here, and I don't want people to know what games I may have picked or may not have picked.
Yes.
But anyway, so don't think of it as a pure, these are the top 5 games at Gen Con. They are 5 games that are of interest to.
Well, we'll let Andy speak for himself, because the rest of us 3
exactly
did the top 5 games, and you're going to get the best games from this guy right here.
There we go.
So I diligently went through each one and looked at what the designer was and the company was, and if I heard about it before, and that's how I made my decision.
I did that too. I just couldn't give it the due diligence it needed to really call it a top 5.
Okay. And so the way I did it.
Go ahead.
Is I actually I had some forward thought. I was like, all right, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Gen Con. I don't want to spend the whole time in the visitor hall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through this list and act like I'm walking through the aisles of Gen Con. I pass by a game. Oh, that looks stupid to me. Just keep walking. Like, you don't need to read about it. It doesn't appeal to you. Just keep going. So I started with like out of that 370 or so, I found like 16 that I was like, hey, I would stop and learn more about this game because I have interest. And then I whittled that down to 5. So it is the 5 games I'm most interested learning about at Gen Con. It doesn't mean these are like the top 5 going to be the best games by any means, but they are indeed the 5 games I am the most interested to learn more about at Gen Con.
So you're telling me, Chris, that you would go through the vendor hall and you would only stop at 16 spots?
I've done less. Like I don't know. Like, I know that's what you and Daniel love to do. And like when we went to Origins a few years ago, but I'm just like, I don't know. I may like this game. I may not. But like if I do try to learn this game, I'm going to learn it and like 4 others, and I'm not going to have any idea about all these other ones. So why don't I walk through all of them and then double back to the ones that actually did pique my interest? So.
For those who have never been to Gen Con, it is very overwhelming. There is so much stuff to do. There is no way you can even scratch the surface of all the games that are there. I mean, you can't even, seriously, you can't scratch the surface. And, so I get what you're saying a little bit, but I do think that you're a little closed-minded. And
absolutely.
I think that's what's beautiful about Gen Con is if you have an open mind, you might stumble across something that you're like, I would have never looked into this, but boy, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, well, here's the deal, Andy. What you call closed-minded, people like Chris and I called looking at the big picture, because the way I did this list was a lot like Chris. I'm sorting through. I'm like, if this is a game that would not attract me on a shelf at a store, I'm zipping through it. Yeah. And so just doing that, you're coming up with like 20. And when I saw one I would like that just piqued my interest slightly, I would just save a picture of it. So I could go back and look at it later. And so then I would go back to the ones I had pictures of, look for them on Board Game Geek or wherever else. And then, oh, no, that one's that because of that's eliminated. That's eliminated. Okay, now we're getting it down to 10. And so then it's, okay, now which of these really get my juices going? So they might not be the best, but they're the best ones that caught my eye for what's going to be available at Gen Con. But you're right. There might be something completely else that I'm going to walk by at a table and go, oh my word, what is that? I've not even heard of this. Or I saw the picture online and it looked like garbage and this looks amazing, because that can happen. That's why you go. So yeah,
it is. That's initially getting. I just want to jump in here real quick. That's super inevitable. That's going to happen to all of us. Like we're going to go through our top 5, and then we're going to be like, "Oh, you thought of that one?" Or I kind of passed over up. Now I'm more interested, right? Because you've said something about it. But even regardless, the 3 of us, we're going to go there, and we're going to find games that like none of us even talked about on this show. That we're going to be like, "Well, I didn't even know this thing was happening. It maybe was on the list, or I passed by. Maybe not even on the list, like we talked about." And we're going to be like, "This is interesting." So what you need to do is make sure you check in next time when we actually recap what happened at Gen Con. We're going to sit down and just kind of hit record. And since Daniel sucks and's not going, we're just going to tell him about everything that happened and just recount it like just off the cuff. It's just going to be a real chill hangout of us talking about what happened at Gen Con. So make sure you watch out next time.
And if you're a subscriber, just keep in mind, you don't know what's going to happen during Gen Con. We may live stream some stuff. We may we throw up some quick videos doing little tiny reviews. We're going to try and provide some content during the show as well, not just before and after.
Yeah.
So
one more thing before we get going, because I know Andy says these are that he legitimately put this list together, but if you've seen how he does other things that we do on the show, when he knows he's getting graded on points, when he's trying to make other people lose, and by looking at the list of games that are on here, where I'm like, I don't see 5 that Andy put on here. I really think that he threw some clunkers in there to throw us off. I'm like, that looks like one I would put in, but I didn't put it in, so I don't know who put that one in. So,
see, John, you got it all wrong. Those clunkers are no. It's Randy's. Everyone knows Randy. Randy
mixed things up.
Games. So anytime I saw a game that was like, oh, this game looks like that's Randy's. That's Randy's. I got a little ha-ha from the producer there.
Good point.
But guys, seriously though, I had a lot of fun trying to figure out which games you guys picked.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I thought I would know exactly whose was whose until I actually got into it, and then I realized like Chris and Andy, like when it comes to push comes to shove, I think they have a lot more similar taste in games than they may let on to. At least from my perspective. I could be completely wrong, of course, because I don't know what they actually picked yet. But it was definitely fun to kind of explore.
We all have more in common than what keeps us apart.
That's right.
We're all part of the human race.
Except for Randy. We all agreed Randy is
he's crazy.
Garbage. Absolutely alien.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think people are here to hear these things, so let's get started. Normally we play our time to play the game music, but because this is a very special episode, I've put something else together. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gen Con number 5. Yeah, guys, we're gonna go through our top 5, and so I'm gonna get started with my number 5 on the list, and this one might surprise you guys, but it is Spellbook.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the
It is a hand management set collection game where you can combine tons of spell cards into hundreds of unique games. It plays 1 to 4 players in 45 minutes, according to the publisher, which is Space Cowboys. This is a new game that should be available to demo at Gen Con, and release date is set for late September. But who knows? They might have some available for us for sale there. They oftentimes do surprises with things like that. So it's by designer Phil Walker Harding. And if you don't recognize that name, shame on you. You should, because he's come out with some amazing games like Sushi Go, Emotep, Baron Park, Gizmos, and several others that are well known. And This is a game that honestly I picked primarily because of the designer. He's got some great credits, and I thought this might be a good entry-level game to have in my collection. I like an occasional entry-level game. I think this could be fun for the kids. I'm always looking for games right now for involving my kids as they get older. This looks like a family fun one. I like the idea of having a ton of variety in spells, making for the potential of high replayability. And this could be a surprise hit at Gen Con. It could be a big surprise hit. We'll have to see, but I'm definitely interested in checking out Spellbook.
Yeah, you might be right, Andy. I was initially like, that's shocking that you picked this, but Phil Walker Harding being the designer, that is a pretty solid choice, and that does check out. And yeah, you might be right, because that dude got quite the following.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has all those other games that you don't play either. So that I can see why you would pick this one.
Dude, I played so much Sushi Go. I've played Emotep a lot, Baron Park.
Yeah.
Those are 3 of his favorite games.
And they're all unique games too, because Emotep's a worker placement game. You've got Sushi Go, obviously a party drafting game. Yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to go into this, unlike you guys, with an open mind.
No, you went into this to win the game, so that nobody would pick your games. That's what you went into this with, pretty obviously.
So, did any of you pick this as my game?
No, I definitely assumed that one was Randy's.
I assumed it was yours, Daniel.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't think anybody got this one.
All right, Daniel, what's your number 5?
All right. Well, my number 5 is a game that's really hard for me to pronounce. It's Sankora. So the reason I like this game is it comes from a designer of 2 other games I've really enjoyed, and that is Ragusa from Capstone Games and also from Merv. These are very unique city building games where you have like this they do different things with the city. Like Ragusa, you're like building into the city and you're like activating, like you put a house there, and then everybody who has a house in that city gets to activate again. So you're kind of trying to trigger off of other people. And Merv, like when you're building walls, depending on like where you go around the city, it kind of triggers other people's stuff. Anyways, I've been really fascinated by those games. They've been really good, medium weight, but like really thinky games. And while I've kept butchering Ragusa in my teach, I still really enjoyed it. And Sankora looks awesome. And it's the writer is Ian O'Toole, or not the writer, sorry, the artist is Ian O'Toole, and love his art. And that board game that looks awesome, and it's gonna look really good right next to
next to Merv.
So
I think that's the one that Joe Wiggins was talking about in our last show that he couldn't come up with the name of.
Oh, okay.
The one your pick, whatever it is, Sarah, so whatever it is,
Sankora.
Here you go, that one.
Well, it looks like John and I both got it right. This is one that I almost put on my list too. It was definitely highly ranked for me. One I want to check out. Is this the one? I'm maybe confusing with another, but did someone compare this a little bit to like maybe a King Domino type feel? Like, is there tile placement, or am I totally messing that up? I might be messing that up.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Let's see here. It says by enrolling, you're graduating your pupils, teaching classes, adding to your curriculum, and filling the great what?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to read the description.
Never mind. Totally different game. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Actually, the description of it doesn't really. This is all thematic. It doesn't actually say what you're doing. So yeah, I need to go check this out. Well, you guys gotta go check it out for me. But you know what? Merv was great. Ragusa is great. So just go get this one for me. John, I need you to go get it for me.
I'll get it for you.
Okay, good.
All right. My number 5 is a tile placement game. That looks like it's the new Roll and Write is Verb and Verb is tile placement. There's a lot of tile placement games that look like they're coming out. So, and this one's a little different than the others because it's not polyomino. And this game is Bonsai. I don't know if you guys saw this one on there, but it's by DV Games, the makers of Bang. And it's 1 to 4 players, plays in 40 minutes. And yeah, it's tile placement, but not polyomino. And I was like, well, I just kind of looked at it because, bonsai, what would you do with that? And it's, like I said, the box cover kind of grabbed my attention. So I looked at it. I'm like, this looks really cool. You got these little hexagonal tiles and you accumulate them and then you cultivate by making your bonsai tree grow. And it looks like a bonsai tree growing in front of you. It's really cool by placing the tiles. I was like, that is really neat. I'm sure it's the same old, hey, do this to get these points and these are corporate goals and these are, I'm sure it does all that, but it looks cool and it does it in a different way. And you're making this bonsai tree that looks like a bonsai tree. I'm sure you prune it like how they do with the bonsai trees and everything. So, I mean, I got to at least check it out. I don't know if it's one I would buy. I don't even know if it's ready to sell yet, but it's definitely one I want to play at the table. So Bonsai is my number 5.
Man, nice. I thought that was Randy's. You got me there.
Yeah, I didn't give this one to you, John, because I admit that I heavily weighed what games were yours based on theme, and I just didn't think this had enough theme for you.
I didn't either till I looked at it. I was like, it's really thematic for a tile placement, especially.
That's right. John wants to feel like he is a bonsai tree coming into his own, budding.
Chris, what you got, buddy?
All right. So first of all, again, I want to make it very clear that I was doing the opposite of Andy. I wasn't trying to win this game. I was trying to tell people how I actually feel. And so, yes.
Time out. I was playing the game correctly. Thank you very much. I was not trying to win the game. I really do want to check out Spellbook.
I think we subliminally can't turn that off, Andy.
Yeah. Regardless. So yes, my number 5 is Amun Ray. Now, the part of the reason I put it on here is actually it is a Reiner Knizia game, my main man. But exactly, put on that bow tie. I've actually never played it. I've somehow never got this to the table. It's a classic, absolute classic, and I've never got it to the table. This is the 25th anniversary. I looked at it, and it's kind of overproduced, but that's fine. It seems kind of cool. There's some like nice miniatures and stuff that maybe have some functional value to them, unlike most of the games that have miniatures these days. So I don't know, and it's nice and bright and colorful, which again is off brand for me. But regardless, when it's the Good Doctor, I'll give it a go. So this truly was like, again, since I've never played it, I would love to see it demoed, see what I think of it, and also see what the new edition that comes about. So that's number 5, Amun Ray for me.
Yeah,
Chris,
I knew Chris.
2 things real quick. Oh, sorry, Andy or Daniel. Chris, 2 things. First of all, there's no such thing as overproduced. Treat yourself. Have fun playing a game that looks good. Okay.
Treat yourself.
And is this a re-implementation or whatever, reskin then?
Oh no, it's like a full reprint.
Okay, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's the same game.
Yeah, that's what I
game,
meant. Reprint.
like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Which is
a
why-
beautiful cover.
It is
Which
a beautiful cover.
It is beautiful, but this is part of the reason why I didn't include it in my top 5, because I kind of thought that we were talking about newish games, not reprints of old games. But that's fine. You do you, as a wise man once told me. And it was obvious to me this was yours, Chris, because you are the old man on the group, and it was a Reiner Knizia game, so it was like, duh.
And that Vincent Dutrait art, I love it. That dude, I love his stuff, and he uses blues and yellows and oranges in a way that I'm just like, I love those.
The vibrancy that he gets is incredible. It's like that tie-dye shirt I got from Osceola Cheese. It's so vibrant.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
That would be awesome.
I got to know, John, who in the world did you think picked this if it wasn't Chris?
You know what? As much as I might have agonized over my top 5, I did the opposite on our list. I'm like, Daniel, Chris, man. Okay, who has 5 already? I can't do them anymore. Okay, so
I mean, that's a fair point.
Right away, I just put a name on it. I didn't see any that looked like Andy's, so I had to go back through and find. Okay, what is Andy's?
I did think this one. Yeah, I did think this one could have been Andy's as well. John did pick this one to be Andy's.
Okay, but, Randy says I picked Andy. There you go.
Yeah, and that's a fair guess because it does. Me and Chris have some similarities in our love for the classics.
Which is what I said. I looked at these lists and I was like, you guys are closer apart than you are further.
Number 4.
Here's my number 4. A big surprise to you guys, perhaps? Snapships Tactics.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that was Randy for sure.
Yeah.
By Josh Dirksen.
I thought that was Randy.
Everybody guessed Randy.
Randy said everybody guessed him. Yep.
This was my number 4. It is 1 to 4 players. It is self-published. This game will be available to demo. And I reached out to the creator. Depending on whether stuff ships in time, it may be for sale at Gen Con. If not, you can also place a pre-order right now, and it'll ship after their Kickstarters are fulfilled. The backers are fulfilled. I first ran across this game. It was actually like 2 or 3 years ago at Gen Con. It was in the very basic stages, and I was very intrigued by it because, well, a couple of things. One, my son, all my sons, but my oldest especially, really huge into Legos, right? And also really huge into Star Wars. And I thought, wow, this might be a way to do both without the IP, so it won't cost a fortune. And I thought that might be really cool. And so this game, it's really intriguing to me. You're building your own ship with snap-on type pieces, and each ship is completely unique. There are hundreds of different things you can put on each ship. It involves the game itself involves action points, dice rolling, deck construction, and again, my understanding is each piece on your constructed ship has a corresponding card with attributes on it, and there are literally, like I said, hundreds of parts that you can do to make these customized ships. And then get this, it can be played cooperatively or in a versus mode. So normally, if it's cooperative, you would think, oh, that eliminates it from Andy's list, but no, it can be played versus as well. And I'm actually somewhat interested in the co-op because if it can thematically actually emulate, a battle in space where I'm teaming up with my son and we're fighting the bad guys, that might actually be kind of fun. So again, not normally my type of game, but for my kids, I'm intrigued, and maybe, just maybe, it'll open the door to me getting into the world of minis and skirmish games more, even though I'm usually as stuck in my ways Eurogamer. So there it is, Snap Ships Tactics.
Yeah, Andy, I was looking at this as you talk, and one, it does actually look pretty cool. It looks like X-Wing, actually. Now, I will say I'm concerned about a couple things. One is that the publisher of this company who's going to make it is named Snapships. This is their first game.
Oh.
So I really hope they can keep up with the demand and the possibility of this game. But if they can, it does look pretty cool.
Sounds like a lot of production.
It does, but like I said, it's been underway for 3 or 4 years, I think, at least. So they're laying the groundwork. They're not just trying to do fly by night, and it looks kind of cool. So
wow. So you actually have looked into this. So this is a legit pick. So I'm impressed.
They were both legit picks, gentlemen.
Okay.
I know
Daniel,
Andy's being bothered that we're calling him that, but we're just gonna keep going on this, Sandy.
Yes.
You guys suck. Daniel, what's your number 4?
All right, my number 4 is gonna be from it is sorry.
It's already on there.
All right, I know. My number actually hold on. Okay, it is Arcane Wonders. Okay, sorry. My number 4 is from Arcane Wonders, and it's Neotopia. Neotopia. So what made me really think about this game is, one, the cover looks kind of cool. I like the 4 different like cities and landscapes that it's invoking. Kind of looks like Magic the Gathering.
I was thinking It's a Wonderful World.
Yeah, or that could work too. But it's like a city building game, and I am like all about city building right now. Like it's we recently got Castles of Mad King Ludwig to the table, and it just reminded me how much I really enjoy this concept of like laying down tiles, trying to make sure this connects to this type of terrain or this event next to that event, and I just like that kind of synergy. So between the Arcane Wonders pedigree, the art alone, and the city building aspect, which apparently I'm super keen on right now, this is definitely something I need to check out.
When I saw it, I think I pinned it to Randy or Andy, because it looks like a 4X game to me.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe a little 4X-y, but it's mostly tile lane.
I trust that. When I passed by, it looked 4X to me, and I was like, man.
Yeah, but there is some like area control skirmish type of thing, which that's something else I really enjoy too. So if this is like some kind of world building with tile placement and skirmish and area control, man, this is has me written all over it.
Actually, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I would like to check that out too.
Hey, I got that one right. I got that one assigned to you, Daniel. And I think the funny thing is I first browsed that game, which it really doesn't apply, but the first thing that design-wise, just the colors, it for some reason reminded me of Seasons, and I was like, oh, I bet that's a Daniel game. It looks like.
But it did invoke that cover got me. I will admit
it. Just the cover's
everything
very cool.
I like to do. The only thing it could have been better has been Vincent Dutrait drawing it, but it was still good though.
Cool. Well, I guess mine's on there, so I'll go next real quick here. Number 4 for me is Cangaceros. Is that how you say that? Cangaceros. I think I left out a syllable. Cangaceros. It's from Ergo Ludo Editions. Thank Gugong and Meeple Circus. It's 2 to 5 players, plays in 60 to 120 minutes. Probably depends on how many people are playing. A weight of 3 out of 5. So it's right about in that. It's about as heavy as I usually like a game, because then it starts to lose theme when it gets heavier than that. But it's about this historical conflict in Brazil, which I had no idea even ever happened. So this is kind of cool looking into it, where these people, I mean, it's spelled colonels, but I bet you they pronounced it differently, that were these huge landowners that kind of oppressed people. And this is like back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so these Cangliceros were like that. They were outlaws, but they were like fighting against the status quo. They're almost like, just trying to, fight for good or whatever, but they also fought each other. So there's that too. So, and they fight against the volantes, which are the state police that were controlled by the landowners. And so you're trying to eke your way out. You're like banished out into the desert. You're trying to have resources, fight people, and it plays on this really cool board. I mean, it looks like a map, and it's colorful and looks awesome. You can see where all the different so there's like area movement, area control, and stuff like that. And but one of the cool things about it, it's like one of those things where it's you have like 7 cards and everybody's got the same actions in their cards. So I love those kind of, I don't know what they call that mechanic anymore. I can't remember, but where you're playing your actions and you have to take an action to take them back. And so it's like,
like Concordia
kind of a game. What's that?
Like Concordia.
Yes, like Concordia. And so I assume you can add cards and then discard cards. I think you always have 7. So I think if you get a card, you have to replace one of the cards that you originally had. So you're all going to start out with the same, but then because hand management is one of the mechanics in it. So I'm sure you're getting rid of cards, and so it's not really a deck builder because you're always staying with 7. But that too, I love that mechanic. So it just sounds like a really good game to me. That sounds like a blast. I don't know if it's a buy, but I'm going to definitely check it out.
Yeah. It was originally on my initial 16, and then I was when I whittled it down, but I did see it. It did strike. The art was striking, and
yes.
it did pique my interest. Yeah.
John, I think you and Randy need to play more games together because I once again pegged Randy for this one.
I did too.
Oh, funny.
Oh, I knew it was John all the way.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just knows me.
For those of you that don't know, Randy's a big fan of some of these. It seems like he's a big fan of Spanish games too.
Oh, really?
Or not Spanish games, but like South American La Junta and Mafia de Cuba and like Latin America, South American games. I don't know.
Yeah. Randy definitely has a take of they're either these big giant epic games that nobody wants to play, or they're like these old games that look like garbage. Those are his two things. So
this one fits in there.
This was the large epic game that nobody wanted to play.
Oh,
that's what my thought process was.
All right, so then we're going to talk about my number 4. So mine is Sagrada. I think I actually said it first. I always want to call it Sangrada.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Sangrias or something. I don't know, whatever. But
You
Sagrada.
had too many sangrias.
Yeah, apparently. Sagrada Artisans. So I'm a sucker for Legacy. And again, I loved original Risk Legacy. I'll still play it. And Risk Pandemic Season 1, still one of the greatest things I've ever experienced. So when I hear Legacy, I'm always interested. And this is the new Legacy version of Sagrada. And I've played Sagrada a few times. I enjoy it. It's very visually satisfying with the different colored dice and everything like that. And it is fun kind of making those the choices I do feel are meaningful, even though you're just rolling dice a whole lot. I don't know, just the game plays well. I really enjoy it, but my son loves it. He really loves this game. I've been meaning to get a copy for a while, and just never have because he likes to play it. Well, then we were doing the search here, and I was like, wait, there's a Legacy version? Holy cow, I got to learn more about this. So there's not a whole lot of information for it right now. On BGG, it says, it's a Legacy game take on the stained glass window game of Sagrada. Players will compete as rival families of stained glass artisans who work on the Sagrada family's windows over the course of generations. Players will gain powerful new abilities over the course of the campaign along with brand new tools. Same standard kind of Legacy format of a game, right? This last sentence is what I love. Other gameplay details of the new game are relatively sparse. I thought that was funny. They wrote that in there. But the end is what really got me. I thought it was very interesting because we know everything about regular Sagrada, but the game involves a spiral notebook and colored pencils instead of traditional game boards. So I don't know if maybe you'll have a spiral notebook that you'll be coloring in, and like now forever that one starts with yellow or something like that. Again, who knows exactly where that'll go, but the idea of like somehow a spiral and colored pencils with Sagrada, like to make it Legacy, that was a very interesting additive that I was not expecting. So again, since mine is purely of I got to know more about this. Like when I read that, I was like, holy cow, I got to learn more about this game. So
is there still dice that you place, or is it?
I assume again, details about the game are relatively sparse.
Gotcha. Really?
I thought that one was going to be John's. I know John hasn't been big into Legacy games yet. I thought this was truly going to be John's Legacy game.
Yeah, I did too. I thought for some reason, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I thought John was a big fan of Sagrada, and I thought, well, this.
I've never played it.
Really?
Oh.
No.
I guess I know my wife better.
There you go. That's a good thing.
Number 3.
My number 3 is Barcelona by Danny Garcia, published by Board and Dice. This game plays 1 to 4 players. According to the box, it plays in 60 to 90 minutes, but heavy Euros like this usually play longer, especially with me. It's a heavier Euro. It appears with it has a weight of 3.75 out of 5. So yeah, we're moving into my real niche territory here now in my last 3, and that is these crunchy Euros. Some of the mechanics include worker placement, tile placement, and in-game bonuses. First off, before I say anything else, the board game industry has a long history of producing mostly good games when they're named after cities or countries. So think Puerto Rico, Istanbul, St. Petersburg, etc. So, of course, this one drew my attention, and I'm sure it probably drew Chris's attention a little bit too based on the name alone. The game itself is about the expansion of the city of Barcelona, and it's based historically on one of the very early examples of urban sprawl. So you're modernizing an old historical city and taking it outward. Besides being a heavy Euro, which I love, at least one comment suggested that this game will be one where you can really take advantage of your position based on the actions of others. So I like that idea a lot. One thing I do like is I like heavy Euros that are very puzzly, but sometimes one of their lacking points is that there's not much interactivity. But supposedly this game does have some of that interactivity because of that, a la Brass and Barrage, I believe, was mentioned. Lots of crunchy decisions, resource management, comparisons to some classics. It makes me want to try it very much. And it says it's out in the third quarter of this year, so I imagine it'll be certainly available for demo at Gen Con and very possibly for purchase. That is Barcelona, and I'm excited to check it out.
Right. I think this is a good time to mention a couple things. One, we chose to not have any crossovers. So if something was on a list, we decided to Randy knocked it off and told us to submit a new one, because I think this one could have made my list. I was also torn on whether or not Chris would pick this one, but it sounds like this is one of the only 2 that we all got right. So I'm guessing for Chris, it was easy to assume it was Andy's. John, how did you come to the conclusion that it was Andy's over Chris? Because this looks like a Chris game too.
It does. And I think this was, like I was saying earlier, I probably had like 8 games for Chris already listed. And so I was like, I got to find something for Andy. And so I was like, this one looks like an Andy. I think this could be Andy. So
Yeah.
that was probably what it was. But I do agree that, yeah, usually when a game is named after a city like Cape May or Santorini, New York, you get those good crunchy high quality games. You're right.
Yeah, this one was too pretty to be John's or Chris's. I mean,
Did you just call Santorini a deep crunchy Euro game?
I thought that's what you said. All these good city games.
Yeah,
they're all the same. You're right. Those are good games.
Santorini's a fine abstract game, but it is definitely
awesome abstract game. But
yes.
Regardless.
All right. Well, my number 3 is Valbara. It is a 2 to 5 player game, 20 minutes. It weighs about 1.88 according to Board Game Geek.
What?
And and it's produced by Studio H or also Meebo Games, which I realized my last game is also being distributed by Meebo Games and also was distributed by the Meebo did What's a Wonderful World. So it's right on point that apparently I need, even though Meebo doesn't deliver in USA, at least not for us, they apparently have a really good idea of which games to deliver. So that makes me more excited about this. But this game, it really felt a lot like this game, Mission Red Planet. You start off with 12 cards. Everybody has the exact same 12 cards, and you play the card, and that's going to determine what action you take. And your goal is to try to do a little bit of territory control, set collection, and all that stuff. And it plays in 20 minutes. So that seems like a really fast version of Mission Red Planet. So yeah, and then the picture, of course, caught my attention because that's just beautiful art. If it's blue, then I'm all in. I'm really shallow that way. So
yeah, this one caught my attention too. It's a good looking game, but I don't know if I thought it was yours. I don't think I did.
I did.
A little light for you.
I did think it was yours, and one of the comments described it as a little version of Libertalia, so that's why I thought maybe.
There you go. Yeah, that makes sense.
One of Daniel's
choices. I would definitely try that.
I really like Libertalia and the simultaneous selection, and right up my alley. I actually, the more and more I look into this, the more I actually want this. So, John, got you another one to pick me up.
There you go. All right, getting loaded up. All right, my number 3. may end up being my number one by the time it's all over with. These last three, like Andy was saying, they're pretty tough to choose between the three of them. But my number three is World Wonders by Meeple BR, and it's 1 to 5 players, and it plays in 50 to 70 minutes. It's a 2.4 out of 5 on the weight scale. And it's really cool because it's like you take on the roles of great leaders of the past to build your own ancient city. And this is another one of those tile placement games I was talking about. And it does it in a little bit different way. And because you start out with like one little piece of road, and then something has to be adjacent to that road. You're like trying to build more roads and build more tiles and buildings around it. And the way you surround buildings, you get points and this and that. But everybody's got the same amount of gold to spend each round. And you go around taking what you want and paying for it. But then the cool thing is there's these wonders. There's always 2 wonders every round that you can choose from. They're real wonders from the past. And there's a ton of them. And they make them in these cool chunky pieces that go on your board. And they have to go in a certain way. You have to have certain requirements on your board to place them. And like you'll have the pyramids of Giza. They'll take up 3 spaces on your board, 3 huge pyramids. So they're like to scale amongst each other. They got that Jesus statue from Rio de Janeiro. What's that called? I can't remember what it's called. Christ
Jesus statue.
Something. And it's a whole bunch of them. And so the way you get those though is what's really cool. It costs the rest of your gold for that round. So ideally you're like, well, I want to spend 6 gold first and then take one, but is he going to take one? Who else can put it on their board? And so it's kind of that, once again, staring down the other players. What are they going to do? Do I want to waste gold, or do I want to get something else first and then put that on my board? And so those kind of cool decisions makes it sound a little bit like Tiny Towns. And also, where you're kind of competing with other people that way, and with the different things that you put on your board, and it just sounds really cool, and it looks awesome. So boom, World Leaders, that's going to be a buy. That's an insta buy right there. If they have those to sell, I'm bringing that home with me.
Cool. Yeah, I thought this was Randy's once again.
That was on my list. My top 5, and got bumped because John insisted we have no crossovers. So
there we go. I got that crossover.
You got it, baby. And awesome. I believe that's our 3rd game, maybe, from Arcane Wonders. Is that right? Or Arcane Games?
I don't know. That's Meeple BR is what it says on my thing. Is that something?
Oh, I thought maybe.
Yeah.
This was World Wonders, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, regardless, it was definitely on my list as well, and it looks very exciting.
Right. And so in the future, can we call those like crosses out? Like you get a cross and punched them and crossed it out.
Crossed out instead of crossover.
Exactly.
Instead of crossover, it's a right cross.
Exactly. All right. So my number 3 is Empire's End. So I'm a big fan of Civ games. This is the ancient civilization game, obviously, as you can easily tell from the art immediately. And so I'm initially interested. So I am like, I'm going to mark that one and come back later. I go ahead and check it out on BGG. And there's a lot of buzzword sales on there, like you see with most of the descriptions. But the key things it talks about here is an engine builder, which automatically one of my favorite things. I mean, but again, isn't most every game some level of an engine builder in the first place? But regardless, but this one's more than most, right? Because that's how they're going to tag it. But what jumped off the page for me was, so it is an ancient civilization game, and as you know, many times, especially for example, Pompeii was a natural disaster that killed everyone, right? A well-known one, right?
Tens of people.
Tens of people. But anyways, well-known disaster. So this game uses all kinds of disasters, either from natural or barbarians or whatever like that, are happening throughout the game. And it uses the no thanks mechanism of you not wanting it and someone getting the benefit from it. And no thanks is, if not my favorite light, let's just get it out and play for 10 minutes game, it's top 5, if not my favorite. I love that. So when I read, hey, Civ game where you're trying to no thanks away the disasters, but obviously there's still benefits that actually from taking the disaster and how that works. I just, again, since my thing is purely of I got to know more and understand how this works, that immediately jumped off the page for me. So I'm real excited to look for this about Empire's End. Looks great. I can't wait.
This is a game we're definitely going to collectively have to get, because anybody who's been watching us from the beginning will know that our last Gen Con special, this is a game that John picked that he was interested in. And I said I was going to pick it, but I was pretty sure John was going to pick it, so I didn't pick it. So now that's 3 of us who have seen this game and said, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's quick. It says it plays less than an hour. So, yeah. I mean, if I can get a good, enjoyable Civ feel and that no thanks feel in an hour, oh man, sign me up.
We had a previous Gen Con episode.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 year ago, which I'm glad you brought that up, because 1 year. Do you guys realize this is approximately our 1 year anniversary?
Really?
Yay.
Yeah, we have been doing this now for
Happy
one
us.
whole year, 25 episodes, and yeah,
And we're still mostly friends.
that's right.
Mostly.
As much as we ever were.
But Chris, one more thing about that is you will be able to play it pretty soon because my Kickstarter is supposed to ship probably within the next month or so.
Oh, I didn't know you actually kickstarted. I like
the
Daniel
deluxe,
privately,
baby. All in deluxe on this bad boy. So
he privately told me that he was about the whole thing between you and him, but I didn't know you kickstarted. Well, it's sweet.
Yep.
Okay.
The cool thing about it is it's not civ building necessarily. That's what got me about it. Is it's Empire's End. Your civilization has peaked, and you have to decide what you're going to save from your civilization to build back up because you can't save everything. Like these are going to have to just go away. And so, yeah, like the no thanks thing is what gets me because you might be like, well, I can really stave off a barbarian attack. These guys can't. I'm going to send it around one more time. So
yeah,
I think that's going to be really cool. Yeah. I might suck at it, but it sounds like a really good game.
Sure. I mean, you probably will. You do it in most games.
Very cool. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we have now covered our first few games. We're going to get to our top 2 remaining games, and we'll do so right after we, pay the bills, I guess. Not really. Nobody's paying us yet, but someday they will.
We'll return after these messages.
Well, hey, we have a big announcement that Joe's going to share with us because we have a contest today. Joe, what is it?
Yeah, we're going to be giving away one of the copies from the game we played earlier. So you can win either a copy of Huey on Tour or Factory Funner. And Daniel, can you tell us what the people need to do to be able to get entered to win a copy of these games?
Yeah, all you have to do is go to our YouTube channel and go to episode 24 and leave a comment and subscribe. And the comment needs to be, which game do you want to play? You can say play Shelf Trade if you want, but definitely let us know which game you want to play. And that play game, if you win, we will give you a copy of that game donated by Allplay.
We nothing. Joe's going to give it away. Generous Joe.
Go to episode 24 and leave a comment, and you could have a chance to win one of these amazing Allplay games.
All right. Well, welcome back. We're going to recap scores right now. So far, well, the runaway winner is, yours truly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not runaway. John's right behind me, but you other two are really kind of slacking.
You guys are running away from us, so that's for sure.
I know. I thought I did a good job. Man, I don't know. You
you did great.
You know, I do got to say at this point during the break, we were talking to Andy and we said, I realize how shallow of a gamer I am because it's really hard for me to explain these games and what makes them interesting to me. Because I'm just like, I don't know who made them, the way they look. And then, like,
they're pretty pictures.
Yeah, pretty pictures. And then Andy's here going like, I did some intensive research. I reached out to the publisher. I talked to the designer. And this is why I like this game. And we're just like, oh dear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want it blue.
I gotta say, that's the part that blew me away. Yeah, I talked to the creator, and I'm what?
That's why, guys. That's why I told you I'm hesitant to call it the top 5 because I really haven't had a chance to do this with all of the games. But
hasn't talked to the creator of every game yet.
I know. I'm sure it's amazingly surprising to everyone that I'm this prepared about anything ever in my life.
Yes.
But.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
So number 2 for me, this one, there's very little information on, but it looks exciting, and it is called Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise, it's not even coming out this year. It's coming out in 2024, but it will be available for demo, I believe, at Gen Con. The early reviews on it are fantastic. It's got a 9.2 already on BGG. Obviously, early reviews, they are what they are. Sometimes they're weighted heavily in favor of it, but that's pretty dang high. It is a 1 to 4 player game. The designers, as far as I can tell, have never put out another game before. The 3 of them have worked on this together, and it looks like a very unique, heavy, crunchy Euro game. Again, it's called Galactic Cruise. It plays 90 to 150 minutes. The art is by Ian O'Toole, which is always a plus, a benefit. It seems like he's definitely one of the top artists out there in the world of board gaming. What can I tell you about this game? I can't tell you a whole lot because I said there's not a ton of information about it, but everybody that seems to have played it and commented on it speaks very highly of it being a very crunchy, heavy Euro game. Again, something that really lately has been something that's in my wheelhouse. I have a couple of games that are heavier. I've played something called Sabika lately, which was fantastic. I played Clans of Caledonia for the first time, and it's a little heavier Euro. So I'm really in the heavy Euro mood lately, and so this is one that kind of got my attention, and again, the art looks pretty good too. So Galactic Cruise, not a whole lot known about it, but I want to demo it at Gen Con.
This is actually one where, Andy, I have been in contact with the producer of this game, because they, in a small way, on Board Game, I think it was the Board Game group on Facebook, like a month or so ago, he put the artwork on there, and he says, "What does this say to you? What do you think this game is about?" And my reply was, "Looks like Fifth Element, the board game, because you've got, you know what I'm saying, the Galactic Cruiser that was in the." He's like, "Yes, that's kind of what I'm going for." He's like, "Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that translated, because that's what I'm going for." So yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool as well. That one I will definitely try out.
It sounds like it's close, because I think I picked John for that one. So I think I was close.
Yeah, I picked John as well. Anything space theme, I put John or Randy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 4 is gonna be, or sorry, number 2 went the wrong direction.
Yeah,
is Fit to Print. So this one I think has John written all over it, and John's shaking his head because I'm pretty sure John picked this one, right?
Yes, I got bumped. Yeah. I got the right cross.
Yeah, he got.
Oh, okay. See,
out.
now I'm justified. Okay,
yes.
It's just like, how is this not a John game?
That's what I said.
And the reason it's not a John game and it's a Daniel game is because it is from the designer Peter McPherson, which is the designer of this game, Tiny Towns. I absolutely love Tiny Towns. I will admit, I saw the cover, the animals that look human and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this has John all over it. It's about old-timey publishing of a newspaper, which is also a John thing. And I was like, I'll give it to John. But then I looked at the designer, and yep, there you go, Penny.
Yeah.
But I looked at the designer and I saw it's from Tiny Towns, and I absolutely adore Tiny Towns. And if this game, it sounds like it's a real-time Tiny Towns, like you're picking the tiles quickly. And then once the time runs out, you're looking at what you gathered, and you're going to now try to lay them out on your board. So you're kind of filling up the board in your mind before you actually put it out there. And it's timed. And I love time games too, because sometimes I like to think quick on my feet. So this one, yeah, it was a surefire one. Again, another one I really would like to pick up. Again, I'm not going to be at Gen Con, so someone else is going to have to get it for me, John.
Once again, though, on this one, though, I think wasn't it co-op as well? Were you working together to print a newspaper?
Oh man, I really hope not, because that doesn't seem fun. I think you are. No, I'm pretty sure it's competitive.
Okay, maybe I misread that somewhere. That was the only thing I thought was holding me back. Maybe it was just the real time that was holding me back. Because
the real time. Now they do say they have an alternative mode to play where it's slow mode is what they call it. So you take turns drafting the tiles instead of quickly picking them up.
I think I would play that way.
Yeah, but drafting sounds fun too. So I think either way it could be cool.
But yeah, this game looks amazing. You're right. And like, it's when you build the newspaper, it looks so cool because you got the stories in there and the ads or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it looks pretty awesome.
I didn't have it pegged as Daniel's at all. I had it pegged as John's at first because of the theme, again, like you said. But then I saw the real time thing and I go, oh, now this isn't something John would do, not the real time part.
Yeah,
and
that's what
so I was right there, but instead of giving it to Daniel, I was like, oh, this is just a gimmicky game that Randy threw in there just to mess with us. I gave it to Randy. But
well, I would say Randy might like this game. So. Yeah, Galaxy Trucker. It's one of his favorite games. So
there you go. That's awesome. Okay. Get to my number 2 here, which once again, I say all these could be number 1, is Jerusalem Anno Domini from Devere Games. Think Pandemic and Feast. 1 to 4 players. Little heavy, 3.08 out of 5. Plays in 90 minutes, so not too long. This one is pure theme and production for me, because what a theme. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game or looked into it, but the theme is it's the Last Supper. And you and your followers want to get as close to Jesus as possible during the Last Supper. And there's this huge Jesus meeple on the Last Supper table, and he moves around. The apostles come and go, and they move around. And so you don't want to get stuck in the corner behind Judas. Not going to score you a lot of points.
That's what I was going to say. You said everybody wants to get close to Jesus, but I was thinking like Judas would be off to the side, just going.
Yeah, well, he'll move around. You might get hosed. Out over here. He'll block your view, and you're like, no. Can I pay you to get out of the way? And so
he does like money.
That would be thematic right there. And so it looks really cool. I mean, it's okay. And I hate to keep bashing on Bad Company and the production. But the price point for
Wow.
this said $50. And it's got all these cool, huge, chunky meeples of apostles, of Jesus, of your followers, of all this stuff, and they're printed and they're, oh, come on. Just the production alone, this game looks like it's $80.
So does this have a Jesus pole? A G pole? A G pole?
It's like a big square
J-pole?
one, or a rectangular one. It's like 3 times the size of all the others, and it goes across the whole table, and it moves back and forth, and
Wait, it's just a rectangle?
yes. It
So,
doesn't stand up. It lays on the table, and
but is it actually a picture of Jesus, or is it
Yes.
just a rectangle?
the Catholic Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Catholic Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure
It's
if
not
Jerusalem.
like
It's not
it's not like
Jerusalem,
him
not-
laying down, just like
No, it's not.
Jeff Goldblum as Jesus.
Yes, there you go. Wow.
Yes, Jeff Goldblum pose.
Wow,
Yeah.
he goes there. But it's called Jerusalem instead of Jerusalem, because is that like I don't know if that's Latin or if that's Hebrew or what it is, but that must be Hebrew.
I was hearing people talk. I think it is Hebrew, maybe, that they use
I don't know,
I's
is it-
instead of J's.
Wouldn't Anno Domini, is that sounds Latin. I don't know. Anyway, that's what it's called. It's Jerusalem, but it says Jerusalem. But
Well,
whatever.
John, this was a cross out for me. This was actually
really?
going
How
to be my
cool.
number one game. I really am
Wow.
excited about this one. Well, it's also from DeVere. I really like that publisher.
Mhm.
They in our last episode with Joe Wiggins, I asked him, does he like
Yeah.
Osprey Games or DeVere better? Because those are two that I'm really enjoying right now. And so anything from DeVere is like, yeah. I want that.
I think I had to eliminate some others just because I didn't want multiple DeVere games on my list. So it was like, this is the one.
I had this pegged as a John or Daniel game. I correctly guessed John.
Oh, good job.
Because I know that you you like themes, obviously, and I know you just picked up Commissioned recently.
I did.
And,
Yes.
And you guys also reviewed the what was the garden game? I forget the garden game.
New
Kingdom Gardens.
Kingdom Gardeners.
Yeah, Gardeners. Right, that's
Yep.
it. Anyway.
Man, I've been crossed out of 2 points here. Like, it's frustrating. I should be tied for second. I pegged this one on Daniel, and then the press one on John. So this is
Man,
frustrating.
hit the
but
print.
whatever. All right, my number 2 is Age of Innovation. Okay, this is the re-implementation of Terra Mystica. I love Terra Mystica. I've played it since it came out. Unfortunately, I've only played it a couple times because it's really complicated. It takes a really long time. And if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to play like 18XX or whatever, but it doesn't matter. So I've only played it a couple times. So when I first heard they were re-implementing it again, I never played Gaia Project. I've wanted to play that as well. Everyone's like, it's the sci-fi Terra Mystica. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe they've adjusted things a little bit, made it a little cleaner, a little quicker. I don't know, but I don't think so. So I was hoping Age of Innovation to be like, all right, they figured it out. They figured out how to pare it down to where now you can play it realistically in 3 hours, if not maybe 2. And BGG, they think you can really play it quick at 40, or it could take up to 200. I don't know. So
Is there a real time mode?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Real time, 40 minutes, exactly. So yeah, and then there's only 3 pictures on BGG right now, and the board and tableaus, they look quite a bit like the original game. So I don't know. I'm just hoping here that they figured out a way to kind of pare it down, make it a little bit quicker. I'm on closer to that 40 than the 200, but I don't know. But again, because of how much I love Terra Mystica and how much I've loved playing it the few times I have, I'm hoping to get it played at Gen Con, and hopefully it plays quicker. Hopefully it's exactly what I'm looking for, because man, I love Terra Mystica. It was fantastic, but unfortunately I just never got at the table very often.
I got a copy of Gaia Project, Chris, recently.
I know you did. Yeah, you recently got it. Yeah.
So we'll have to do that.
That was almost a
The only one
cross.
that got that right.
Cross out.
I'm the
I
only one that
almost
picked
picked
Chris
that
on that one. Wow.
Oh, you almost picked that, Daniel?
Yeah, I did almost.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because it's
Sounds
Capstone,
disappointing.
Capstone Games, and Capstone.
Oh, yeah,
Press.
Yep.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was looking through it, I was like, oh, Capstone. No, this will excite Daniel.
Yep.
Well, before we get to our number ones, we are going to share with you the 5 games that our silent producer Randy picked and threw into the mix to kind of mess with us, because he went ahead and took 5 games as well. And I don't know. Randy can't talk to us, so we can't know for sure if these are games he really wanted to play or if these were games he was just doing to mess with us. It may be a combination of them. But without further ado, let's get to one of those.
Let's do.
The first game that Randy threw in, Donut Shop.
This is a lie. This is a
Yes.
John game, and I don't care. Give me a point
100%.
because this is a lie.
I'm with Chris. There's no way John doesn't want Donut Shop.
I actually
Exactly.
How
Donut
many
Shop
food-
looks interesting. It's set collection and tile placement. It's only a 30-minute game. I did actually peg this one as a Randy game though, because I thought it maybe, although the theme speaks to John, I thought it might be just a little too simplistic for John.
Yes, I got
nothing's
that
too
one right too.
simplistic.
Apparently, so
All right, well, let's look at his number 4.
what is that?
one say?
Ravenshire.
Oh,
Ravenwood.
Redwood.
Redwood.
I might have had that as Andy.
Whatever. I can't read. Sorry. I failed school. I had this one pegged as a John game, actually.
Really?
I did.
I think I did as well. I don't know anything about this one. Did any of you guys look into this one?
I did, but I can't remember what I read now.
So I looked. I looked into it briefly. It's got animals, environmental exploration, line of sight. It's set collection. It is ranked fairly decent so far on BGG as 7.1. Yeah, I don't know why I picked it for John specifically. Maybe it kind of reminded me of Everdell, maybe a little bit, at least the way it looks. And so I thought maybe that would be up his alley. Because you're a big Everdell fan, aren't you, John?
I've never played.
What?
So yeah, pretty close.
So
Shows you how much I know.
I picked John for theme, and the miniatures made me think they had like a unmatched thing going on. So I was like, oh, maybe this is something John would be interested in. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, I picked John too. So should we get points for that? I don't know.
No. Number 3 is Applejack.
Applejack.
Applejack. This is one, believe it or not, despite the name, which just makes you think of cereal.
It does.
It made me. I actually, in looking at this in more detail, I actually pegged this one as a Chris game. Believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
So, what did you guys think of this one? I hold on. I want to find my notes here.
I know. I thought it was Chris's as well. It's very Euro-y looking. That cover, while it is a pretty cover, don't get me wrong, that's beautiful art. Right. But it looks old manish. It just does. It's not that compelling, and it's Uwe.
That's what it was. That's what it was. It's an Uwe game.
That's right.
It's an Uwe Rosenberg game, and I was like, well, I don't think Daniel really likes Uwe games. I don't think John really likes Uwe games. Chris likes some of them, so I'll give it to Chris.
Yeah, and actually, Randy picking this is on point because he likes Fields of Arl. I think Glass Road. I think he's a fan of some of the bigger games. Yeah, so this makes sense.
I had this as you probably because of Uwe, Andy.
Uwe,
the art was too good. That's what put me off of this. But
yeah, that's not a Chris
probably
game.
will check it out at Gen Con.
The art was too good for Chris, and the theme was not enough for John. So
there you go.
All right, number 2 for Randy is going to be Pyramido.
I think it's number 3. Number 2.
Pyramido.
Andy was right.
Imagine that. It's happened multiple times this episode. That never happens. What did you guys think about Pyramido? Who'd you have that for?
I didn't look into it until it was on the list to choose to see who picked it. And then once I looked at it, I'm like, that's a cool looking game. That actually looks of the once again, this is the theme, it seems like, is this tile placement thing this year. There's so many of them. But this one, you're using your tiles to layer them and build them up into a pyramid. It's domino style. They have to touch each other a certain way or whatever. That's what they always say.
Was this the tile game you were thinking of, Andy? Earlier?
Yeah, this is the one that I thought was like King Domino.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, when you were talking about it, I was like, I don't know which one it was, but I feel like I remember seeing the one that Andy's talking about, but I couldn't remember the name. So perfect.
More like Pharaoh Domino instead of King Domino.
I really thought this one was Andy's because Andy really enjoys, and he already brought it up once, Emotep. And also, what's the Mummy game? I just lost the
Mummy game?
Mummy Trivia.
Oh, man.
Oh, the one where you go in the temple and try and get in there first.
It just left my mind. And has
oh
a
my
hand
gosh.
of cards that
Don't wake Mummy.
No, wake Mummy. Andy, you have the game. It's
dude. I can't believe I can't think of it now.
It's a Queen game.
Luxor.
There you go. Yeah, so Luxor and Emotep. I know you like those two games. I was like, I'm for sure that this is Andy's, but
he's got a thing for Egyptians, baby.
Don't wake Mummy.
I had this one down as a Daniel game.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think I had that one. I caught up to you. I had Randy pegged on that one.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this is a close one now. Who's gonna win? Oh, Chris, you got 2 out of. No, I still at 2.
Jeez. Daniel, I thought you were gonna rock this. You picked all ours last year.
Number 1 for Randy is Forges of Ravenshire.
I thought that was Chris
too. I think
Forges of Ravenshire. I had this one as John.
Really?
I did.
That's
I
not
picked it
Yeah,
right.
you did it right.
I
Yeah.
got it right. Because
I
it
got
looks
3 of Randy's right, and then this was one of those 2 I know for sure was at the last where I was telling the guys before production. I went through them all, and I just kind of shot from the hip and was like, oh, that's a Randy, or that's a Andy, that's a Daniel, that's a John, blah blah. Oh, that's a Randy, and I got all the way to the bottom, and there was 2 that I was unsure about, and I was just like, whatever, I'll just assign them to Randy because the other one I already had a perfect 5 for, so I was like, whatever, and I got 3 out of the 4, 3 out of the 5 right, so yeah,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I honestly looked the cover at this one, and it's like for those listening, it's like a badger, and his teeth are showing out, and it's just the weirdest picture ever. I think it's actually not a very good picture, and I was like, that has Chris all over it. Chris would have been like, I don't care what it
I
looks
do
like.
love the art.
Yeah, I had Chris on that one as well.
What is this one about? Do you got something there, Andy, about it?
For some reason, it made me think of Raccoon Tycoon, and I thought that was one of John's games that he really likes. So
I traded it a long time ago.
Oh, gee. Once again, we know each other so
Raccoon
well.
Tycoon vibes. Yeah, maybe that's why I like it too, because it has Raccoon Tycoon vibes. Because I really like that game too.
I thought it looked a little bit like Root when I looked at the cover.
Yeah, it's got Root vibes as well. Yeah.
So I think I probably gave it to Daniel.
That cover's so bad. They really should have done it differently.
Yeah, it's not that
Tell us how you
Are
really
you serious?
feel.
You really don't like it?
Yeah,
And I'm really not. It's not stick here for me that I really enjoy it.
No, I don't like it at all. But
It doesn't have any blue in it. That's
No
what he doesn't
blue.
like.
That's right. It's out.
All right, well, that was great. Thank you, Randy, for really messing up our game by throwing in these weird games sometimes. Maybe some of them are great. I don't know, but they are definitely games that threw us for a loop in some ways.
And finally, number 1.
And here's my number 1, although it's really not my number 1 because I even told Randy that I didn't have them in any order. Just put them out there because I didn't want to be responsible for that. So I kind of feel bad that this is the number 1. I put
How
in a
is this
disclaimer.
your number 1?
I'm putting this on a disclaimer. This may not be the number 1 game I'm interested in, but it is one of the top 5 that I'm interested in of the games I researched. It's called Pampero. It's by Julian Pombo, which I probably am not pronouncing right because I believe the gentleman is from Uruguay is my guess because that's where it's based. This game is in Uruguay. It's about energy management. It's published by Ape Games, features art from, once again, the fantastic Ian O'Toole. That guy's doing well.
With you, every game you have is Ian O'Toole.
I know. Game plays 1 to 4 players. It's a heavier weight game coming in at 3.83 out of 5. Has a playtime of anywhere from an hour up to 2.5 hours. It will be available for demo at Gen Con. Release date is set for November. You never know. Once again, maybe it'll be available for purchase. We just don't know until we get there sometimes. The theme is going to grab John right away. Like I said, it's all about energy management in Uruguay. That's right up John's alley. Super theme with wind farms. My immediate thought on looking at this game is it made me think Chris might be interested because it reminded me of Power Grid a little bit just at the outset looking at it. But I think there's a lot more stuff going on than Power Grid. It's very heavy. There's comparisons to Barrage. There's comparisons, which I've only played Barrage, I think, a couple of times, and it was okay. I think I'd like it more if I tried it again now because I've been into heavier Euros lately. It was also compared to Vital Lacerda, which I have not played, but I guess is quite popular. Have you guys played that game or heard of that game?
I heard of it, not played it.
Okay.
Sounds weird.
Anyway, I'm going out on a limb a little bit with this one, but it intrigues me. I'd love to get this one played and see if it fits into my recent penchant for these heavier Euros. And others in the comments made mention of Brass and Concordia, which, isn't going to hurt its reputation. So I got to give it a try. It's a heavy Euro.
Games.
What's that?
Those are 2 very different games.
But
it's like Brass and Concordia.
They're both great games, though. Is my
but
they are very different.
Nothing to do with each other.
I might be interested in that one. It was very blue.
There you go. I had this pegged for Daniel. I thought this for sure was Daniel's game.
I think I'm interested because I've spent so much time driving back and forth between Kansas City and Denver and seeing all those stupid wind farms that I'm like, please give me some reason to like these stupid things.
There's a whole lot of them in Northwest Missouri as well. Like we were just up there seeing family for my wife's family, and there's just there's so many of them. And we were driving back at night, and at night they have to have the lights on them, so planes don't run into them. So you just look over one horizon, and it's just red lights as far as you can see.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like an alien invasion or something.
Yeah, right. It was crazy.
War of the Worlds. Yeah. I actually thought this game might be about killing birds.
In a way, it is.
That's just the byproduct of playing the game.
That's a side quest.
What's your number 1, Daniel?
All right, my number 1 is the game that I already purchased, and that is Last Light from Roy Kennedy of Dice Tower fame. So this guy
knows Canada's game. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this guy made the white whale of board gaming. So this is a Civ game that legitimately plays in an hour and 30 minutes. It's a spacefaring like 4X game. You're building things. I guess it's called Last Light because like the sunlight is actually like blinking out of existence and you're like farming the light that's existing. So I think there's something about like the board, and then the board moves because like the light starts to fade away. So that's represented by like the board actually rotating and stuff. There's just a lot of really cool things about theirs. This is tech, there's tech building going on in here and exploration and combat, everything you want in a 4X game, but literally in an hour and a half. And based on the plays I've seen of it, it looks truly entertaining and people seem to really enjoy it. I know there is a lot of, you got to talk up your own game, and I hear a lot from Roy Kennedy and the people around him. But I mean, I don't know. The excitement seems very genuine, and I feels like I want it. But yeah, I backed this one on Kickstarter or GameFound, one of the two. And it's coming my way. But it was funny. I just remembered I backed it because I was literally going to be like, this is the game I actually want John to go and buy for me. But then I was like, wait a second. Wait, I already bought it. I'm glad I had that realization, or else I would have been having 2 copies of this.
You're an addict when.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Exactly. No, like I'm actually excited about that game as well. Like now knowing that it's Canada, like, I mean, I don't know anyone in the industry that cares more about space and 4X than that guy. So
yeah,
if it's his game, it's I assume it's gonna be great. That is one I will add to my list of checking out at Gen Con for sure.
Yeah, Roy Kennedy reminds me of the Lego guy, the spaceship guy, where he's like, spaceships!
Yeah, he is. He kind of is that guy. Yeah, exactly.
I had this one pegged as Chris, which I don't know why. Maybe because it was a Civ game. I don't know. But I should have thought of it being Daniel more because, there's no bigger fanboy of
exactly what I was about to say.
Influencers than Mr. Daniel Connors.
Yes.
So. You're a board game influencer and you're making a game, I'm probably going to back it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, oh, it's Canada's game. That's right.
You're telling me you're going to buy Raptor Rapture.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Who wouldn't?
All right. My number one game. What's that?
I said number one.
Oh, yes. Number one is appropriately titled Channel 1, and that's why I made it my number one. I couldn't decide which one was going to be it. Well, it's going to be Channel 1, which is actually spelled WON, which is kind of cool. But anyway, it's from Pops and Bijou Games. Anybody heard of them? No. They made a game called Cultivate.
Oh, okay.
Anybody?
Nope.
Yeah, that's the part that makes me nervous. But it's 2 to 6 players, plays in 30 to 60 minutes, and it's building up your reputation while discrediting your opponents. Sounds awesome. Report anything, resort to anything to report everything. You're a reporter at a TV station and you're trying to work your way up to nighttime anchor. And so you're getting sent, you have to make sure it's semi co-op because you have to make sure the leads are covered. You have to make sure, what's the other thing? You have to there's 7 rounds of morning, evening, and nightly, 3 rounds of morning, evening, and nightly news. If any lead goes unreported, or a story is inaccurate, that's what it is. The network ratings fail. If the ratings get too far, everybody loses. So that's the only semi-co-op there is well, unless you want everybody to lose, somebody better cover the story. So then you're like argue with each other. Well, I don't want to have to do it, And so you throw in your hat with somebody else to make a really good story. You'll get some credit, or maybe you steal credit from somebody for a story. And so it doesn't sound really too co-op, except that you got to make sure the station doesn't go out of business. So that alone makes it really cool. So and it has hand management, open drafting. The artwork is this retro cool artwork. So, I mean, that had me too. And so it's, I don't know. It just sounds like a blast to play. And so the theme got me, and everybody probably picked it was mine, but the theme got me on that one because, channel, you're a newspaper, like the newspaper reporter. This, you're a TV reporter, and you're collecting things about a story to write and all that. I don't know. It sounds really awesome, and it plays quick. So boom. Yeah.
It sounds great. It sounds bloody and backstabby, just like the corporate and entertainment world. So It sounds fantastic.
Just like we do on this show all the time.
This was an easy pick for me to put as John because of the artwork. I knew the artwork would get him, and I knew the theme would get him. So
that was the easy one for you guys.
I gotta admit, I didn't look too much into this game. I looked at the title and the cover, and I said, "Oh, this is a party game. It has to be Andy's because Andy's the only one. Me and Andy really like party games, so I was like, "Oh, this is Andy's." And then listening to you describe it, I just pulled it up on Board Game Geek, going, "Oh, I guess that's not a party game at all."
No, not at all. Not at all, my friend.
Oops.
Oh, I also love it play 6 players because, like I said on our last episode, I'm always
yeah.
looking for 6-player games. So
Yeah,
go.
definitely.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that one too now. So,
Have
all
to
right,
check that out.
guys.
Chris, what do you got?
Now it's time for
Oh,
my
gosh.
number one. All right, so I know full well when I picked this that this was a free point for everybody else, absolutely everybody else. But again, I picked the games that I am the most interested to learn about at Gen Con. I love 18XX. Love 18XX. And it's cut off a little bit on the graphic there, but this game is 1930. Okay. So
19XX.
the big coming out party for the 18XX genre was a game called 1830. So 1930, 1830, there's just a bunch of planes on the on the picture. Is this an 18X games about planes? I don't know, but I mean, I'd be interested, but also why? Why do I do planes? Well, just make another 18XX game. I don't know, whatever. Let me go learn more about this on BGG. Randy, will you pull up the page? Thank you. Perfect. There. So again, what are you most interested in learning about at Gen Con? I'm over the moon about this game because first of all, I love 18XX and stuff like that, and there's nothing about this game on BGG. There's 2 pictures of the exact same photo, one slightly at an angle, and then there's a family, admin, upcoming releases. Great, that's super helpful. Even the writing you can see over there, it's a little blurry, but it's super short. It says 1930 is a game set in the early stages of aviation. The players take on the roles of aviation investors, promoters, presidents, with the general objective of making money. Okay, screaming 18XX, right? A player's wealth is accumulated mainly through owning stock tokens in 10 airlines, including the game. Boom. Stock tokens make money in 2 ways. They can provide ready cash and dividend payments and the income action, and they can increase the value of the course of the game. So, like, I mean, that again, it just screams 18XX, and then there's nothing else as you go down this page. It's just blank. There are 2 threads, one of which was started a month ago, and then another 5 months ago. And they're asking, is there going to be a preview at Gen Con? And the other is, can we get a rule book so we can have some idea what's going on with this game? And if you go on that thread, it just says, no, because the rule book's not finished yet. That's it. So,
yeah.
Again, this was a free point for everybody, but with my love of 18XX and the fact that 1930 and everything, I was just like, I have to know about this game. And then when I clicked on it and there was nothing there, I was just like, okay, well, this is number 1 because there is nothing I want to know more about than this game because if nothing else, so little is actually known.
It's so funny. The whole website is, or the whole page is the back of the box of Horseless Carriage.
Yes.
It's funny.
That's a good pull. I like that one.
When I first looked at this, I immediately thought it was John's actually, because I was like, oh, this probably is pretty thematic. But then upon further review, I was like, no, this is a Chris.
Yeah. Well, and it's a Rio Grande game. They're not like some sort of new flyby publisher. So like, how do they not have any information? Like, it's weird.
When I saw it was Rio Grande, I was like, this is going to be Chris because he likes the old stalwarts in the industry. And also, I know you're a big fan of Airlines of Europe, and that came to mind as well.
Chris, this was almost a cross out, but I didn't even pick it because I knew you were going to pick it. When I saw it, I was like, because you're right, that 1930, it invokes 18XX. It just does. You see that, you're like 18. So this game better be pretty close to 18XX. But didn't we just learn about it? Like this was going to be developed like an 18XX game, but now it's more of a coin rail game.
Yeah, we were talking about it at lunch, and I clicked on those two threads that exist, and like one person was talking about the like as they were understanding. Again, it was kind of one of the I talked to a guy and his cousin told me, but whatever, right? But he said who knows really. But apparently, it originally started as an 18XX game, but apparently it's kind of like gone closer to like a winsome, a coin, well not coin, but a winsome like a cube rail game or something like that. So again, we have no idea. You better believe that when I get to the booth at Gen Con, I am cutting a video of what this game is and going to let the people know. Because I know there's at least one other person out there like me that wants to know.
It should be in the Rio Grande room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if they have it, oh my gosh, I will get to play the game.
And if they don't have it, you just need to go and like, tell me what this is.
Just start shaking down the workers. They're like, dude, I don't know. They just pay me a badge to work here. I don't know.
And while we don't know what it's going to be like for our first Gen Con kind of post all the COVID stuff, the Rio Grande room traditionally, if you've never been to Gen Con, is a fantastic room because it's outside of the main vendor hall area. It's open late, and they have employees just on site to teach you games, and they feed you for free. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is the room to watch. All right, well, that is our top 5 games. But before we head out, we're going to do 2 things. 1, we're going to talk about our honorable mentions, and 2, somebody gets to win. So right now there is a tie between Andy and John.
Yeah.
Maybe while we're talking about the honorable mentions, Randy can figure out which one of them can win.
I was going to say, maybe we take a look at John's and I honorable mentions, and we vote based on who has better honorable mentions to give us the win.
Well, do you only have one, or do you have a cast of honorable mentions?
I've actually got, let's see.
I have one.
37.
Limit it to 1.
Okay, we can limit it to 1 then. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll mention all of mine, but I'll give 1 as my one to compete against you in. How's that?
Okay.
All right, well, let's see the tiebreaker.
But if Andy, only Daniel and I are voting, we could have another tie.
No, let's just do it. Let's try it. Let's do it live.
Andy, pick your 1, and then we'll go back to your other one. Pick 1.
Okay, I've got my 1.
Go. What is it?
My 1 almost made my 5 list, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It's called Where's My Ride? It's a party game by Slugfest Games by David Kessler. It releases on August 18th. I assume there's going to be a demo at Gen Con, maybe for sale there, in fact. It MSRPs at only $30. It looks like a fun party game with some of the mechanics of games like Codenames, Deception, Murder Hong Kong, and Spyfall. It actually looks like it could be a lot of fun. The gist of it is that there's an Uber driver, and there are people that are passengers, and they're trying to find where to go to drop off the passengers, and they can't communicate because the app is fritzing out on them. So the only way that the Uber driver can communicate is by sending emojis to them. And the passengers, I believe it is, can send cards that are texts that are clues as to where they will go, and they have to pick out from this map, this grid of places they would drop them off. And so I think it could be hit or miss, but it could be really cool.
Slugfest Games. I'm liking that. At first I was like, is this Dude Where's My Car without the licensing?
If this was Dude Where's My Car,
I was like, is Sultan in the game?
Sultan.
But then actually the real description of the game, that sounds pretty good for it's like I get like Scotland Yard vibes along with a party game, so that sounds pretty good. I mean, what do you got, John? It's gonna be hard to beat, I'm gonna be honest.
Well, mine, I submitted a picture. I don't know if Randy's gonna put it up, but mine is Defenders of the Dictionary. Okay. I picked this with Daniel in mind. Your task as Defender of the Dictionary is to fight the evil forces threatening our language, which I consider Daniel one of those. Your weapon is your collective wisdom, but you must use your words to navigate the city in time to stop the evil villains from ruining the language forever. After all, knowledge is freedom and it must be preserved. Sounds like you have you'll complete to navigate the city of Wordopolis via letter and grid-based wordplay. Each mission you'll need to achieve a particular task going in a particular direction. So you have to connect different points using words with the letters that you have available. And I just want to play this with Daniel. If he was going to Gen Con, I'd make him play this. And it's just so silly. Defenders of the Dictionary, like you're somehow.
I didn't know we were having an impromptu round of board game, believe it or not, but I don't believe it. I see the image and I still don't believe it.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. It's like they took Scrabble and just wanted to make a theme for it. Let's make it Defenders of the Dictionary.
Who's the designer, John?
I don't know. Let me see.
I bet this is his mea culpa.
John, my mea culpa.
Adam Rayberg.
For those of you that don't know, that is a throwback to our last episode or 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
he's on Planet Unknown.
Oh, there you go, Planet Unknown. That's really good. Oh, geez, John. Like, I feel like it's so crazy. So, Chris doesn't like party games. I hate word games. And he picked a party game, and John picked a word game. What are you thinking? This is like our 2 Achilles heels.
There you go.
I mean, I can rock a party again if it's in the right place, like the one Andy brought up. Okay, it's party, but it's got Scotland Yard. Like there's some stuff going on like that sounds like again. I'm genuinely interested in what Andy came up with. So
all right, so I guess
we're gonna be for Andy on this one.
We're giving Andy the win then.
There you go.
John, I'm not playing that game. I'll play for it just for kicks and giggles, but oh gosh, that sounds
like
that
legitimately.
Sounds like torture.
When he was reading it, I was like, the what? How? Why are we playing an impromptu game of board game? Believe it or not, because this is not real. Like,
exactly.
All right. Well, Let's do the other. So Andy will be the official winner, and he'll get to do his 1.5 minutes. And this time you actually get to think about it, Andy, because we're going to go through our honorable mentions.
There you go.
And then we'll let you finish. Actually, do the rest of your honorable mentions, Andy.
Yep. Oh, sure. Well, actually, Randy's got one of them up right now. It's and I'm probably going to really butcher the pronunciation, but Zhengguo. It is a game about building the Great Wall of China, and it looked really cool and interesting. It almost made my top 5. I don't have my notes up to tell you much more about it, other than it looked cool.
Man, that's all it takes. Sounds good.
All right.
I like the art too. I kind of like that style.
Yeah, it did look cool.
You would take my others real fast.
Do all of them. Do all.
Yeah. Sorry. My other ones were going to be Shake That City by AEG Games.
Saw that one.
Looked kind of interesting. Also, I had Wandering Towers by Abacus. It's a Kiesling and Kramer game, and I like it when Kiesling and Kramer team up, and that one looked kind of interesting. It's a lighter game. It may be more of a kid's game, but it might be interesting, and I want to check it out. So,
yeah, Wandering Towers was almost on mine, but that's actually Capstone's also publishing it, and every one of their light games other than Estates, I haven't been a fan of. So while it looked interesting, I was like, I don't know. I'm probably going to play that one before I actually play it. Because while in Capstone I don't trust in their lightweight games. Yeah, they kind of ruined me on there.
What do you guys got for runners up, Daniel?
All right, so mine was there's this one game that was just, I wish I had a picture of it. I didn't know we were supposed to submit them, but it's called Maximum Apocalypse. But it came out in 2018, and the more I look at this game, the more I was fascinated by it. But then I realized it came out in 2018, so I looked at some of the reviews, and it was like a meh game. But you're like, it's there's a map that's set up based on the cards that are on the table, and you have standees, and you're actually marching through this, and there's like deck building involved in it, and there's like character decks. It actually looks straight up my alley. It looks really exciting. I would definitely play this if somebody had set it up, but unfortunately, because of the mediocre reviews, it's kind of meh for me. So I probably would ultimately pass, and it's why it didn't make my list.
So if it came out 5 years ago, why is it on this list even?
I don't know. That was also the confusion of it. I mean, there was like 4 other expansions, so maybe there's like a brand new expansion, or like it was initially a Kickstarter, and maybe this is like the re-release, which also gave me hope, because if it's a re-release, maybe they worked out some of the issues that some people had with it. I don't know.
It's called back to an old episode, but I think it's probably up for the spiel.
I was going to say that. As
2013.
Next year, it'll probably be up for the spiel.
There you go.
Number 2, there was another one that I had on my list called The Rich and the Good. That
me too.
A remake from 2008. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to have it on my list if it came out in 2008, but it looked like a good game.
All right.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I got a couple more here.
Okay.
Okay.
Another one I have is Mind Space from Allplay Games. It looks like another tile laying game, or like no, maybe it's a roll and write. I kind of forgot what it was, but the map is like your brain, and you're filling in areas with the cards that are being flipped again, which really invokes the whole tiny towns fit to print, like that type of thing. So I'm actually really excited about that one. And then there was 3 Ring Circus from DeVere.
Yep.
This one was so close to me, and it was funny because I was talking to Chris before we started, and he goes, yeah, anything that was overly colorful I gave to Daniel, because I just assumed that he would pick this one. And oh my gosh, 3 Ring Circus is that. Did you get to look at that, Chris?
Yeah, it was nice.
It's just vomit of stuff on the board. It's just everywhere, and it's vibrant, it's bright, it's full, it's exciting. So that one was
Can't
good.
read anything on it, but it's pretty.
It's pretty.
That's the one that I dropped because I already had Jerusalem on my list. I didn't want to have another DeVere game, but that one did look really good.
Well, actually, it's the same thing. I dropped this one to put Jerusalem on there, but then you picked it, and this one made it. But it's a lot. It looks a lot like the board of Baitoka. I don't know how to say that. Baitoku. Yeah, it does. Well, not like similar, but like Baitoku. This one.
But yeah,
tons of stuff on it.
Lots of stuff on the board. Yep.
All right, and my last one, real quick, is Renegade Games, Transformers War for Cybertron, because Andy's in it, and I don't know how to make Andy's list. I'm gonna buy that game and have Andy sign the Rhinox card.
There you go. You should.
Maybe we should do that as a giveaway.
There you go.
I like that.
Right, but that was
just prime.
Chris, what you got, buddy?
Oh, you just had the one. You just had the one with the good and old or whatever.
Oh, I already did mine one earlier.
That was just the rich and the good. Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I actually put that on my honorable mention as well, and mostly because it gave me like it was like a touchdown of old school back in the day play. Because like back in the day, it'd be like, oh, this game came out a couple years ago in Germany, it's just now making it to America. Well, this one came out in Germany in 2008 and is just now getting an American release. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
Plus, it's also the rich and the good. Now, I will say. I was excited about this game, but then kind of here at the end, it kind of ends it for me. But it says the game uses a system of shared information where each player knows a little of what is about to happen in the markets, which each player knowing different pieces of information. So it's kind of like a
stockpile,
which is fantastic, right? And then it says the player who makes the most money at the end of the game is the winner. My heart's a beating. Provided that he or she is not the person who donated the least to charity.
There you go. Oh.
I want nothing but Age of Industry and Black Hearts. But anyways, but no, that game does look interesting. I will want to check it out. But yes, and again, do not adjust your televisions. Okay, what is on screen is true.
Chris is all about that.
Is Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Okay,
yes. Again, we all know how I feel about Ticket to Ride. We also know how I feel about Legacy. Okay, so I will be stopping at this booth. This will be happening. I don't know if it's going to be able to add enough to make the game interesting to me, but I'm willing to give it a chance because people love Ticket to Ride. So if I can figure out a way to make the horrible situation any better when I'm forced to play this game, I'm interested, right? So, so it's a legacy version. Some of the art online seems interesting. It does look like a pretty great production with the little tuck boxes and everything that I could see. So, again, I don't know what they're doing to make it any better, but I'm giving it a shot. I'm intrigued to find out what's about that. And then my number one honorable mention is I don't understand. Like this is kind of like the 1930 thing, but on a different spectrum. There is a new expansion or what are they called? Scenario for Catan called Soccer Fever. Now, I mean, if you look at the pictures on BGG, there's like these extra little boards, and they look like these little like cardboard soccer balls. I don't know if it's like a dexterity game, but like the quick little read is like, every couple of turns you guys have a soccer match. And I'm like, what? I don't understand the game. Well, people have a problem with how long the game is already. And what are you doing with this little soccer match? And if you look, there's actually there's like little hexes that have a soccer field on it. So I don't know.
Wow.
Like I love this game, but it's gotten way out of control. Yeah, there you go.
I missed that.
Then there's like this other thing. It's flip through it. It's weird. I don't get it. But I talking about jumping the shark. I don't have no words. It's Catan, but it has all this other stuff. This puts the catapult from Carcassonne to shame. This is ridiculous and unneeded. So because of how insane, I gotta learn more because just what the crud.
I want Catan Aussie football. Look up Aussie football. It'll blow your mind.
We just recently learned about Aussie football, and it's quite amazing.
But that Ticket to Ride, what's cool about that? It looks like it's like the pioneer days in the United States. You're discovering what's out west. So you add that in with it, it does look pretty cool. Because I'm not a huge Ticket to Ride guy. I got the really quick Ticket to Ride New York that plays in 15 minutes, and that's good. But yeah, this will be. It's enough to pique your interest. You're right. I'd like to play like the first scenario and see what happens. And that Catan, I got to check that out too. You're right. Yeah, I think I saw Catan and just flip past. I didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, there's our top 5 lists with our honorable mentions. But like we said, there is a winner, and today's winner is Andy. So Andy, why don't you get up on the soap throne and tell all the unwashed masses what you need to tell them?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It really is an honor. I'd like to thank my mom and dad and
you don't have
everyone else who's really made this possible. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to take this time to do a couple of things. One, I'm actually going to throw in one more honorable mention that I forgot about. I know. But, it's my time, so I can do what I want, John. So suck it. It's called Wild Tiled West. Yes. It's by Paul Denon, who is the creator of Clank and, of course, Dune Imperium. And it's from Direwolf, and I really want to check this one out. So I did want to give that some credibility, because now it's got credibility because I talked about it. Aside from that, though, I just want to take the time to thank all of you who have been a part of our show. As Daniel mentioned earlier, we've been on the interwebs now for about a year. There's been a lot of work, a lot of sweat that's been put into this as far as planning and getting together as a group for production meetings. Guys like our producer Randy, who puts in so much more time than he should. Daniel, of course, doing the editing, and then there's schlubs like me who hop on here and try and hopefully help entertain as well, but and John and Chris who do their thing. But thank you guys for being a part of the show. We hope that it's entertaining. We want to make it more. We want to continue to grow. We love your comments. We love it when you like things and subscribe. If you wouldn't mind trying to get it out there to your friends and family members. We may have some big news to announce coming up in the next couple of months as to where the show goes next. There's been some talk. We'll see. That's all TBD. And of course, as mentioned many times, we will be at Gen Con. At least 75% of us will. We hope you can come find us for your opportunity to win some games. We'll have more details about that coming out. And again, thank you so much. We do this because we love the games. We love to banter, but we also love you guys. So thank you from all of us here at Around the Board.
That was so sincere and heartfelt, Andy.
It was.
Got a tear in my eye.
Yeah, well.
Get out of here, Andy.
I am an actor.
Acting.
Exactly.
No, this was a lot of fun, guys. Glad we were able to do it. It was so fun to talk about some of these games at Gen Con. And as mentioned earlier, there's so many games that are coming out. We probably barely even scratched the surface. There's probably many that we missed. So please, in the comments, tell us what you want to see, what you're excited about, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us, we'll go look at, and we'll report on it back when we get back.
Exactly.
There you go.
Definitely.
Right. Well, we don't have a teleprompter to read us out, Andy. Do you?
Yeah, so Andy, you're going to have to do it
from rote.
All right, I'll try and do it from rote memory. Thank you again for joining us here on Around the Board. Be sure and check out our social media presence. We are all over the place. Primarily on Facebook. We have a Facebook group you can join, Around the Board. Also, you can find us on the web, email us, I should say, at mail@aroundtheboard.net. And we're on some of the others as well, like Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all those things, although we're not updating it that much. We'll try to get better at it. Join us there, and make sure you join us next time here on Around the Board.
Yes. That Wild Child West looked really good, but I already had that other tile laying game on my list, so